We're going to jump right into a farm panel here. We're going to talk about big ag versus boutique, which there's going to be a place for both of those here in the future. We're going to bring up our panel now. We've actually got Rick Trojan, my podcast partner in crime, going to moderate this. Tanner and Aaron Rydell, Steve Tomlinson from Wisconsin. Get a little perspective from the other side of the country. Hey guys. Tanner from Colorado Hemp Solutions, who's sponsoring our dinner tonight. These guys have been doing great work over here on the Western Slope. So Rick, let's see, we've got microphones to share here. I don't know where you want to be. You can fill this up if you want.
All right. Thank you, Morris. All right, guys, we got a good panel for you from boutique, big ag to boutique, right? So hemp is now federally legal. Lots of people are excited about it. Lots of big ag is excited about it. But we have some good panelists here that are farming and actually doing it. So we'll get into, do a quick introduction of yourselves, and then we'll get into some questions.
I'm Tanner Willis with Colorado Hemp Solutions. I'm a farmer here on the Western Slope. We have about 27 different farms under our name, and then we help consult and do a bunch of stuff with other farms around the valley.
Growing for cannabinoids.
Yeah, we do high CBD for ours right now.
Hello, I'm Aaron Rydell with Salt Creek Hemp Co. This is actually our ranch, and we're a wheat farm. We do grow for high CBD, and we've also grown for like the triple threat crop, if you will. You're actually sitting on bales of hemp, which is totally okay. You can sit on them more people. So, yeah.
My name is Steve Tomlinson. I don't know who Steve Tomlinson is. Certified organic vegetable farmer in southeast Wisconsin. This is our second year growing hemp. Primarily boutique, I would say, is what we're doing. We had 400 plants last year, and we're still selling some of that flower. And we're going to put in about 5,000 to 6,000 plants this year, or have.
Sorry I was late. Dion Oaks, San Luis Valley Hemp Company, Ride Oaks LLC down in southern Colorado. Have about 2,500 acres this year.
All right, so let's get into, and we can ask questions obviously from the audience, but let's get into just in general. Everyone thinks they're going to come into hemp, you're going to plant hemp, you're going to be a millionaire in the next year after you harvest. Let's talk about exactly what planting hemp and being a boutique farmer actually means for real, versus corn or versus what you grew before. Talk about what you grew before and how hemp has helped, but let's also bring everyone back to reality about what is actually feasible on an acre of land.
Yeah, so the thought process of that you're going to come in and make $1 million, those days have kind of come and gone, but it is a commodity that you're still able to make a profit in, a lot better than most commodities that farmers have been used to growing in the past. The boutique farming side of things, though, it gets a little tricky as far as the infrastructure used, greenhouses, keeping pollen out. Those kind of costs can add up to kind of get your situation built up for producing the proper flower. Here in the Western Slope, we fight pollen constantly. There's pollen everywhere. Seasons before, there's volunteers on the sides of the road. So going into the boutique market, they don't want seeds, so you really have to take the extra precautions to set up for those kind of things.
Aaron?
Well, and that's a great point, and that's one of the reasons we grow up in Plateau Valley here is we've got a natural barrier, luckily, that surrounds us. You go from Montrose Delta area all the way up to Grand Junction, Macloma, it's pollen city. That's going to be your big ag. That's going to be your 2,500 acres and mowing through with a combine and generating a lot of good product. It's not going to be that high quality smokable flower. With our product, that's what we always strive for is obviously no seeds. We don't actually do much smokable flower. It's just our non-seeded flower extracts really well and it goes into our products. We're in a fortunate area for that.
So boutique versus big ag, like what are you doing and how is what you're doing boutique?
Yeah, I'd say with only 400 plants the first year. That's all I could be was boutique. We figured out what the hell we were doing. Put in the 5,000 this year. Trying to build brand around our locale. Right? You got Chardonnay wine. You got Walworth County hemp flower. Just come up with your own terroir and grow things that become familiar to you and your brand. Instead of getting big and large, you create a community around what you're growing. People actually want your stuff. People come to the door, they buy the flower. I did a TV interview, and they asked me if I'd smoke a joint, a CBD cigarette on TV, so I did. And within 24 hours, there were people at our door. We saw you on TV. Can we buy some of that stuff? So they buy it. Give products to their grandma who's got rheumatoid arthritis, and all of a sudden she's feeling better, and they're buying ounces of it at a time for they're cooking with it, they're smoking, and they're feeling better. So, and it's local, like local honey kind of idea. So you build a community around what you're growing, and I don't want to get big, and I don't want all the overhead of all that other stuff you got to do to sell a product. I just want to grow it and grow it well, and interact with people that feel better because we're growing it.
I'm not much on the boutique side. I'm more big ag and going big, but there's definitely a place, no doubt, for boutique in this industry, and there's definitely a place for big ag. I mean, everybody right now is on the CBD side. We're just barely touching all this other stuff that's on the other side for the big ag that can roll in. So my thing is there's place in this industry definitely for both sides of this lane.
Perfect. Yeah, and we can open up to questions, but that's, I mean, Dion, to your point, there's a lot more to this plant than just CBD, right? So CBD is the big talk now, it's the moneymaker now, but everything I'm wearing is made from cannabis, right? So there's textiles, there's pharmaceuticals, there's energy, there's all sorts of things we can do. So, and these farmers are doing a lot of that, right? Growing just for CBD, but also there's biomass from the stalk, the stem, and other things we can do with the plants. So let's talk about the challenges, actually. Some of the challenges of being boutique, and we'll get into Dion obviously on the larger side, but the challenges of being a boutique farmer, right? This with social media, you're able to promote social media, those sorts of things. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges that you face in the boutique flower. Authorities. Cops don't know the difference between marijuana and smokable CBD flower. You know, you get pulled over with a bag of green stuff, they're gonna ask you what it is. That's, you know, you're not in a state like Colorado, that could become an issue. So other challenges that you face are location, like Aaron was talking about. Being in an area where there's lots of pollen, lots of other growers that aren't, you know, we try and work with know your neighbor, know what your neighbor's doing, be friendly with your neighbor. Communication can really go a long way in the industry. Then there's, you know, building out greenhouses, maintaining proper environments, building a clientele, building up the sales, because if you're in the hemp industry, you can't advertise on Facebook, you can't advertise on Instagram, you can't have these paid promotional kind of posts. So it really limits the factor of who you can reach for audiences, and it goes to, like he was saying, working with your community, building that brand around your community and things like that.
Yeah, and brokers, that's a good challenge, right? Has anybody ever seen that meme where everybody's sitting in the hot tub and it's after a CBD deal went down? That's always fun.
So true.
Yeah, and these plants, like I tell a lot of people, what we do is a lot more like gardening than actual farming. You get to Dion's level when you're talking thousands of acres. Now you're using seed planters, combines. When you're down at our level where you've got, like, in this field, in this valley, there's not a lot of acreage that's more than 10 to 15 acres. Our field that's ripped up is about 15 acres. But we have to go through it and hand weed and tend to these plants like we're gardening. It's not for the faint of heart, and there's not $100,000 an acre at the end of it. There's going to be some great product that's going to make people feel well, but it's not winning the lottery, and you do have to earn it.
I'd say, particularly this season, the biggest challenge has been Mother Nature. And I saw somebody said that she has no sense of humor, and I went, really? She freaking laughs at me all the time. Right? We didn't get planted. I put my last plants in the ground just a week ago today. Right? They're small, they're little. I could change the density. I had less ground to work because I couldn't work the ground anyway because it was soaking wet. So really, outdoor grows are, you got to go with what you're given. And you can't just say, we're doing it on Tuesday because we got 3 people showing up, but they have to go back to work on Wednesday. Well, it's raining on Tuesday, we're gonna plant on Thursday. Well, they can't come, right? You get up, you check your weather rock, see if it's wet or dry, and you figure out what to do that day, no matter what your plan is. So it's not just something you stick in the ground. Outdoors, it doesn't work. We're vegetable growers, so we do 8, 10, 15 successions of different vegetables all season. So the care and tending of a hemp crop is much like tomatoes for us. And that can still be a challenge on a farm that's got too many things going on. So if all I was doing was hemp, it'd be a whole lot easier for me. Can you hear me?
Everybody needs to kind of speak up a little bit louder
Right
with the mic
into
so
it.
we don't have to.
And I'm over-modulating right now. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
There we
Was
go.
that-
With some authority.
Was that Ruth Buzzy that said that? I mean,
We're gonna get this.
who remembers Ruth Buzzy? All right. Is this on?
Yeah, to speak up with authority.
I'm gonna-
Authority. One louder. There we go. There we go. Packers.
Let's not get crazy.
The challenges of Mother Nature and people, really. If I only had to grow a handful of plants, I could have 2 or 3 people, great. But it's really labor intensive. I've heard 80% of your work and expense comes after you cut the sucker down, cut the girl down, and have to do all the processing. So labor and weather are really my biggest hassles.
Ken?
I'd say the biggest thing on struggles or deals if you're getting in the industry or already in is snakes out there. There's a lot of not really good people that in this industry and the wrong reasons. So main thing is try and find a trustworthy source. It's been in it for a while. All these guys, wonderful people. So try to find somebody and they've been in it. They've been through a lot of things so they can help you out. Most definitely.
And I think that, to your point, Dion, that's one of the advantages we have here in Colorado and you guys have here being in Colorado. If you're a new farmer just getting in, we have farmers that have done it for 4, 3, 4, 5 years now. It's a lot different. Year one, you have this great idea, the spreadsheet looks great, the plants look great. Right after you process it, harvest it, all those sorts of things, it's a much different reality on the floor, right, in the field. It's a much different reality than on the spreadsheet. So we have good farmers that can have good information and we can get you guys started off on the right foot. We'll open up to questions. You guys have general questions for these people?
My name's Paul. I've been growing cannabis for about 20 years. This is my first year doing things commercially. So at the end of this season, I'm going to be looking mostly for wholesale buyers and brokers and things. And that's the one thing I've been really warned about is make sure you know who you're dealing with and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I don't know. So what types of things should I look for in a wholesale buyer?
Great question. So the question is, to you guys, the question is, he's farming, has great crop, it's going to be a great crop at the end of the year, has a lot of people saying they're going to pay him, right? What do you look for? What are the things to look for? And what are the telltale signs that say, hey, step back and maybe look for a different buyer, right? How do you identify a proper buyer, I guess, is the question.
One thing I'd say, start with reputation. You can go to events like this. There's guys like Wild Bill that kind of started this event off. There's people in this industry that's kind of their niche. Do some research as well. And be aware of the guy that's going through a guy that's going through a guy that knows a guy that had a hemp field kind of thing, because there's a lot of that in the industry. There's a lot of good resources through the no-co events, through a lot of things like that. So vet your resources early. Start early in April when they have no-co. Finding your contracts, getting those structures set up early in place.
Well, the good news is the industry's young, so the joker brokers, as we call them, generally will start out the conversation with the point per percent conversation. Oh, yeah, I need 10% or better, and yeah, I can get you 325 a point on that, and oh yeah, I got proof of funds. It sounds so sexy. Yeah, so the unicorns. So anyway, so when they start out the conversation like that, that's a red flag, if you will. And then samples, like somebody that doesn't take a sample, or that's a red flag as well, because you're probably going to have an issue down the road when it gets to the extractor. I've got some real good friends in the audience that are all extractors, and they can tell you the absolute nightmares that happen when you get the rock star sample. Somebody goes in the bag, they take that nicest top bud, and oh yeah, my material's 18%, baby, all day long. Gets through the extractor, the machine doesn't lie. What comes out of the machine is what comes out of the machine. So you're really running a composite of 14%, 13%, which is still great, but that's another issue that comes up is the inflated levels. So.
What's the best way, I guess, to get paid? You guys take payment by like wire transfer? I mean, that'd be
Question is, yeah,
how do you
Oh,
do
yeah.
I think this is a whole separate issue also, but payment processing, how you take payments. You take payment up front, is it 50-50? What structure do you, yeah, what structure do you normally work with, or what's worked for you guys?
Wire
in the past?
transfers are usually the way to go. Don't let anything leave your farm until that money clears your account. That is the golden rule. There's no fronting, there's no part now, part this. It's you come, you take your samples, check out what you need, gather your info, make your offer, money clears the account, it leaves on the truck. Don't do any of those kind of hesitation, you know.
I would
Say
accept
that again, though. Say that again, just so we're clear. Say that again, please.
Yeah, so don't sell anything without collecting your payment. You know, if you're doing a deal for 20,000 pounds, make sure that payment for 20,000 pounds clears in full. Not we'll pay 60% up front, and once we receive it, no, just full payment received, and then it leaves on the trucks.
Open mic, yeah.
Oh yeah, suitcases of cash are acceptable, but you gotta open up the packets in there and make sure they didn't stuff it with paper, right? Yeah.
We laugh, but that's actually really happens.
Oh, totally.
It wasn't funny, the guy that opened that suitcase, but like it's a funny thing, but like let's not be funny. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Make sure you got the cash in hand.
Yeah. And please feel free to reach out to any of us. I've got business cards. We all have booths here. Really, your best bet is to talk to everybody. It is a community. Tanner's dealt with a ton of people. We've dealt with a ton of people. Steve's dealt with a ton. All these people have dealt with a bunch, and we can probably connect you with somebody that would be reliable, and you could sell your flower at a good rate.
Well, and we're lucky enough now we have the options for contracting. So contracts really come in key with this kind of stuff. You can set up those payments, you can set up payment options, you can pre-plan how your stuff's going to be sent to them, who takes care of shipping. You can line all those details out while it's still growing. So there's a lot of different ways to go about it.
And you should line all those details up to make sure that all the cross your T's and dot your I's for sure.
Don't forget, when you choose your partner, you got to go with your gut.
Yeah, you have Spidey sense? Pay attention to Spidey sense, right? For sure. Spidey sense is the best sense we can get in the industry, I think. Other questions?
Well, that's too easy.
That is too easy. All right, so we'll leave the audience with this. One piece of advice, having done this for a couple of years and fought the good fight and the ups and downs, what's the one piece of advice you'd give to new farmers coming on board?
Don't expect to be millionaires your first run.
Solid.
It will be a long, hard journey, but at the end of it, it's worth it. It's a great plant. It's an amazing plant. It's just not a cakewalk, and you got to earn it. But yeah, it's worth it if you stick it out.
I'd say the number one rule is find somebody who's done it before. Get alongside of them, no matter what they've grown. Somebody knows how to grow stuff, can help you with this. If they know cannabis, definitely. But pay somebody a few bucks to help you out. It's a good investment.
I'd probably go back to be aware of the snakes and find a trustworthy deal. I mean, the snakes in this industry are huge right now. So it's the last thing we want is a farmer to get burned. That's number one in our hearts. So.
Yeah, and we're here at Salt Creek Hemp, and there are people here, like you said, that are in the industry that have been doing it. So take the advantage of the opportunity here, network, say hello to your neighbor, people next to you. They might be able to provide you with that contract. So let's hear it for our farmers.
Thanks for coming, everybody.